Doncaster engineering department, the weird and wonderful world of it. I'm John Lucas, engineering manager here, and I look after all the staff and the vehicles and make sure it's running smoothly. Just before we start, a few safety things. Please don't wander off at any point on the tour, just stick with me, because it can be quite dangerous. We've got pits and we've got different vehicles and stuff. I'll let you get on the vehicles, I'll show you different bits and bobs and you'll be able to touch stuff. But don't put your arms in places you shouldn't, because you will get messy like me and oily. If there's a fire alarm at any time, just relax, follow me. I know where I'm going, so don't try and run off anywhere. I'll take you to the nearest exit, we'll go through muster point, and we'll all be sorted out. If you have any first aid problems or an accident or anything like that, I'm first aid trained, I've got a kit over there, I'll be able to sort you out. I used to be in the army, so I'm used to dealing with anything, so don't worry, I'll get that sorted. And that's all the boring stuff onto the tour. At Doncaster, we look after 121 buses throughout the year. We do on average 3 MOTs a week and 6 inspections a day, and then we have all our running repairs. We have flat tyres, your normal engine stuff, electrical problems, lots of different bits and bobs that we look after. So it's a very busy, fast-paced environment. Buses are in, air tools are going off, lots of stuff going on. So it's interesting and fun. So what I want to show you is what, if you're not a bus enthusiast, you might not have realised, where the rear seats are raised and you get some vibration coming through the rear seats. And this is due to the fact that the engine sits in there. So what we've done is we've taken an engine out, taken the rear seats out, sorry, so you can see the engine. So what we'll do is you guys can filter on the bus, take photos of it, have a look around it, and then we'll meet after you've finished at that engine strip down over there at that table. So if you all want to jump on, start filtering through, have a look at the engine, how it looks in the bus, and then I'll give you all the specifications when you come up. This one?
Yeah?
This one, yeah, this one.
Last thing you want to do is drop your phone in there.
It's a bit bad for headroom.
Don't want to see it going through when I'm sat on it.
Well, it's not good for headroom, is it?
No.
But that's where the seats were. Jesus Christ.
Oh, so yeah, the seats are perfect.
Oh. It's a bit bad for headroom,
Too many on, too many on.
That's fine. That's the best and the worst. As in buses in general, I think the worst is a street deck at the minute. The best is probably an ADL, I'd say. Really like a bar road. Just from my experience. I've worked for Transdiv and I've worked in Leeds as well with Doncaster. And seen all the different variants of buses from start. And yeah, I'd have an embargo over anything really, to be honest. Steer right way. If anybody wants to yeah, contain fuel.
This is it, yeah, of course, yeah.
When you're trying to order parts and data plates, it does.
Interesting camper.
It's a nice world for this record.
I know.
What about the street lights?
Yeah.
What better than what the decks?
Yeah, street lights are okay. Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah.
They're not too bad. I'd rather have a V7, but that's just my opinion. That's my opinion of buses.
When are they going to replace what you've got here?
Hopefully now Doncaster's become a city, we'll get a bit of funding and start sorting it
We're
out.
trying to get that in Sheffield and we've not got it. In fact, we've got some bloody horrible ones.
I wish Barnsley were a bit better than it is now.
Well, yeah. You have my sympathy with that.
I've been there for 17 years. So far it's been getting worse over years.
I'll take your word for it. I've only been to pass through, so...
I live in it and it's worse.
Yeah, I've been a few times. It's not bad.
We've only got one decent bus in Barnsley.
It's all right.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's go.
But it's very bright red
Okay,
now.
then everyone I think's had a look round, just waiting for a couple of people, and then I'll explain what you were looking at. That engine in particular then was a D9 Bravo or B, and it is a 9.4 litre 6-cylinder inline engine. It does 260, well it has 260 horsepower, which is roughly the same as a Subaru WRX, but obviously a Subaru is 1.5 tonnes, this bad boy is 19 tonnes, so it's a little bit slower, but it does the job, it gets everybody around. And this is, we've got one of these DB engines stripped down, and essentially what's happened is this camshaft, this part here should not move at all. It should be fixed like these other parts, but this is moving. So what we've got is a misfire. So the engine is spitting all the time and struggling, and the driver's got no power. This is £1,200 this part, so we've ordered it, and it will take about 4 days to repair. So it's a bit of a big job. Next then, I want to show you some bodywork. We do a lot of bodywork here. We do windows, we do welding, we do accident damage, we do a bit of painting. So our body guys are quite busy. But we've got an interesting repair here. We had a coolant leak on one of these pipes here, and the way that the manufacturer's made the bus, he's bonded a panel straight onto these struts here. So we've had to burn the panel off to get to where we needed. So we've left it off for you guys really. We've repaired the pipe now. That's your stairs inside, and then you've got some auxiliary tanks. Just quite an interesting point of view for bodywork.
I've not seen that.
No, so if you want to take some photos of that, feel free. And then I'll meet you by the fuel tank.
Main thing is where USB power port's going.
Oh yeah. I didn't think about that one.
I don't know.
We do want people need to charge their phones up now and again.
What's that idea? Personally, power tank.
I think what they've done is they tried to burn it and trying to get where they need to get to.
Actually burnt that panel off.
Thanks, off.
Is not what they normally do.
And that's like the stairs there as well, what you walk above pipes.
We used to get someone you don't need.
Right, if you'd like to gather
Yeah.
around here then. Okay, so a bit of trivia then. Anyone guess how much fuel goes in that tank, roughly?
2,000 gallons?
No?
600 litres.
No? 300 litres. I won't keep you guessing. There's 300 litres of fuel that goes in here. At Doncaster we use 10,500 litres of fuel a day. At your current petrol prices, when I worked it out the other day, it was about 180 a litre. So we spend £18,000 a day on fuel. So when your fare prices go up, that's kind of why, because we're suffering a little bit at the minute. And we apologise, but we need to fuel the buses, essentially.
Otherwise, you're not going to have a service.
Yeah, exactly. And what we're really
Oh, wait for
suffering
engineers
from
to
at the
come.
minute is vandalism, and we're asking the local community really to try and speak to people, educate children, and tell them it's not okay, because it's costing us an absolute fortune, and it's our main engineering cost. As you can see, we've had one smash last night. We're really lucky that our windows are double glazed, so it's protected the passengers, and everyone's been okay. But it could be a different story. It's just really worrying, and we're all concerned about it. So hence why we're bringing it up today. Next, then, if we walk along here.
Oh, behind the scenes, you don't see it, is it? Jesus Christ.
That's got to be brick. That's got to be that.
Just wanted to show you some of the tools we use to repair the bus, essentially. This is a computer that we use. Basically, the bus has essentially an electronic control unit. Essentially, if you think about it like a brain, it's the bus's brain and it talks to all the other brains and it says, I'm okay, I'm feeling all right, just like your body. But if a signal sent that is corrupted or there's a fault in the wiring and it doesn't get a signal, the brain will throw an engine management light on the dash and say, I'm not okay, can you look after me and see what's going on? And the driver will report it to us and then we'll plug this in and try and verify or pinpoint where the problem is. This gets us to the rough area of where it is. It doesn't always tell us exactly what's wrong, but it really helps with diagnosing faults. And most of the time we can get to the area of wiring or the plug and then we can see that the wiring's damaged or the plug's been burnt out. So great bit of kit. That's called a gel tester and we can use it on all different variants of bus as well. It's not just one make. Next we've got the most important thing in Doncaster engineering really is our torque wrenches. We do loads and loads and loads of tyres each week here. We change them for punctures, we change them for just general wear and tear. And every wheel that's changed gets free wheel torques. So essentially this torque wrench is set to the specifications of what the nut should be tightened to. The guys will change the wheel, they'll put the wheels on, they'll torque them all up one time. Once they've done it once, they will put these wheel nut indicators on to say to everybody, we have just changed the wheel. And then we'll let it settle for a bit, we'll do it again for a second torque, and then we'll run it on the road for 24 hours and make sure it makes over 30 kilometres in mileage, and then we'll do a third torque. After the third torque, we'll take these wheel nut indicators off, and then we'll put these clips on, which is like an extra safety device to try and stop the wheel nuts from moving. So it's a really important bit of kit. All the process for the guys is on the back, so they know what they're doing. Next, we've got various different hammers that we use. We have our hammers for checking for rust. We've got your normal hammer that everyone's probably got one of these in their toolbox, every guy and girl. And then if things get a little bit more difficult, we get a mallet out. And if you're having a really bad day, you get this bad boy out and get serious. And then if your day is an absolute disaster, you get the propane out and you burn it off. Which it does get that way sometimes. Then we've got some battery operated tooling. These tools can take the wheels off a bus, and we've moved away really now in the industry from air because lithium batteries have got really, really good. They hold their charge and they're really powerful now, so we tend to use these quite a lot. So you've got guns for various different things. And we do have some air tools. We use this for sanding and doing body repairs. And we do have a air operated grinder if you need a bit more power. And then this is our light beam tester. Essentially what we do is we put this in front of the bus, these headlights, and we check that they're in the correct position in case they're off and they're blinding everybody on the road. And we do this on inspections and MOTs to maintain compliance and make sure that they're correct. And because on an MOT, first thing they'll do is check the lights, brakes, and they'll do that sort of side of it. So we make sure it's all working. Again, we've had another windscreen smash. This one's a bit more serious because, as you can see, if that had gone through, it could have hit the driver. He's driving along. He's got a bus that's 19 tons, and people are throwing things out the windscreen, so it's a bit scary. So we have sort of left that in here, and we're going to change that tonight. Our windscreen is £427 on this vehicle. But on a B9 it goes up, they're about 600, so it's expensive as well. So, and then next we've got loads of parts laid out for everybody.
A flying bus as well.
Yeah, we have.
I thought there was a wizarding shop.
So this is your engine out of the vehicle essentially, sitting on the floor. You've got your turbocharger there, we've got your coolant inlet there for your coolant pipes. All your belts would go around here, and then you've got all your electrics along the back. We took the head off What we try and do at Doncaster is if we're scrapping a bus, or throughout first bus, we try and be environmentally friendly as possible. So we'll take as many parts off as we can, bring them to the workshop, and then try and reuse things if we can. And it really does come in handy. We had a couple of buses that we were scrapping, and we had seats off of them, pipes, windows, everything you could think of. It went almost a shell of itself, but it's really, really good because we're saving money and we're saving the environment. A few common things that we change at Doncaster. You've got your gear selector here, so you driver selects a gear. This sends an electronic signal to the gearbox, and then it puts it into drive, essentially. We've got a handbrake valve. Driver will operate a handbrake valve, and it will push air pressure through to a spring brake actuator, which will lock the brakes on, and then it does the opposite. It goes to the rear axle on the handbrake. And then we have the most common things really to be broken in Doncaster. Drivers are fantastic people, they're lovely, we love them. However, they are a bit heavy-handed sometimes, and they like to press buttons really hard and get them stuck. And then when they go around the corner, sometimes you'll probably see a driver, they almost turn the corner with the indicator arm and snap them off. So, and if they're having a really bad day, they definitely snap them. So we do go for a few of them. We've got an air compressor here. This essentially forces air to some holding tanks, which build up your pressure for your brakes. And once it's at a certain PSI and it's happy, it will turn itself off. And then when the brakes are operated, it will turn itself back on again, push air through and keep air flowing all the time to the brakes. This is a destination control unit. Inside this magic box are all the destinations for the different routes that we're running in Doncaster. It's programmed with a USB stick, and then the driver will get in the morning, they'll type whatever route they want to go on, say route 12, something like that, and then that will bring it up on the side destination or on the front. That's how it works. We've got here we've got a dash. Unlike your car, it's slightly easier to get out. 4 bolts and it unclips at the back. But these are really important because they've got vehicle data in, so we tend to send these away for repair rather than buying new ones, because then we'd have to program all the data across, so it's quite difficult. And then next we've got some big stuff here. We've got a gearbox. This is a ZF EcoLife automatic gearbox. It's got a helical design, so really fine gears mesh into sync, and then you get a really steady shift up through the gears. So it's a good gearbox. It's also really versatile because we can change it between different variants of bus, and all the electrics are cooled with a cooling system, so it's a really reliable box and handy. And then we've got an axle here. You've got 2 airbags on there. As I said, this is sort of off the scrap bus, but it's good for stuff like this. You've got your brake caliper, your discs are in there, and then your wheels would bolt on here at either end, and your chambers there, spring brake actuator, sorry. And we've put this environment up here. It's got a fuel leak on the fuel tank, so we'll be replacing that after this. But we just put it up on the lift just to show. Sometimes people from engineering, it can be quite scary when you first start working underneath these lifts. But each lift is 7.5 tons, and they lock out if they have a problem, so they're not going anywhere. But we also put axle stands underneath, so we're doubly sure if it goes wrong that it will just sit there, the vehicle, on their stand, until we can get it off. And unlike HGVs, PSV mechanics have to be a bit more, they have to get in places, and it's probably a bit harder than a HGV. A HGV, you tilt the cab and you lift it out with a crane, the engine, gearbox, everything like that. On a bus, everything comes from here, so you have to let it down on hydraulic lifts and tables and use forklifts and get the engine out and bring it away from the bus, so it can be quite difficult. And it's very tight in the engine bay to work in. That's why the rear seats often come out if we're working on an engine, so that we can get in there and have a look at it. And that's it. Any questions?
Will it get reused?
No, not all of it. Bits of it will, if they're serviceable, but it's probably beyond repair, some of this stuff. But that will get sent away in reconditions because they're quite expensive. So, and ZF like to recondition all their gearboxes anyway, so they'll rebuild that. So that one. This is off a little enviro that was scrapped actually, yeah. Yeah.
You scrapped
We had a
those already?
we had a third one. We did have 3 running about.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
you got rid of it.
What? Just one.
What?
Yeah. We still got 2 going around form. Yeah.
When you get rid of it?
I don't know. We've got it's before my time. We've got 26 and 27. So I think it was 25. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Oh no no.
And are these the both?
Yeah, that's where it locks in the
I'm going to murder that sign. I'm going to murder that sign.
Should watch that.
That one doesn't have.
The thing her bucket's gonna.
Does that one have the same?
Yeah, it will do. You won't be able to see it. It'll be right up inside. It's like at the top. You have to come through the floor usually to bolt it in. Yeah.
That's got to be a double reduction, actually, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, smart bit of kit. Cool. All right. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming on the tour. Nice to see everyone's face. If you want to buy any merchandise, there's a big stand selling everything. If you like anything. Lovely. Thanks very much.